What if your feet could warn you about a life-threatening heart problem weeks before a medical emergency strikes? I'm about to reveal 7 specific warning signs of heart failure that the American Heart Association says are often missed or dismissed by seniors until it's too late. These aren't vague symptoms that could mean anything. These are clear, identifiable signs that appear early enough for you to take action and potentially save your own life. Here's what makes this critical. One of these signs shows up in your feet and ankles first, and according to Johns Hopkins cardiologists, catching it early can be the difference between simple intervention and emergency hospitalization. Let me tell you about Calvin, a 68-year-old retired mechanic from Milwaukee who noticed his shoes felt tight every evening, but blamed it on hot weather and ignored it for 6 weeks. By the time he finally saw his doctor, his heart was functioning at only 30% capacity, a crisis that could have been prevented if he'd recognized the warning. The signs were all there, clear as day, but he didn't know what to look for. Sign 1: swollen feet, ankles, and legs. The single most visible early warning sign of heart failure shows up in your lower extremities first, and it's something you can check yourself every single evening in less than 10 seconds. When your heart isn't pumping efficiently, blood flow slows down and fluid begins backing up in your veins. This causes fluid to leak out of your blood vessels into the surrounding tissues, a condition called peripheral edema. Research from the Mayo Clinic shows that peripheral edema is the primary indicator doctors look for when evaluating potential heart failure, and it appears in approximately 80% of heart failure patients before any other symptoms become obvious. Johns Hopkins cardiologists have documented that swelling in the feet, ankles, and lower legs is classified as a Class 1 warning sign, meaning it's among the most reliable early predictors of declining cardiac function. This isn't the mild puffiness you might see after a long day of standing or a salty meal. This is persistent swelling that worsens throughout the day and doesn't resolve overnight. When you ignore this warning sign, the fluid buildup doesn't stay confined to your feet and ankles. It worsens rapidly and starts putting dangerous pressure on your lungs and heart. The American Heart Association reports that untreated edema can progress from mild ankle swelling to life-threatening pulmonary edema, where fluid fills your lungs within just a few weeks. At that point, you're facing an emergency situation requiring immediate hospitalization. Delayed treatment when edema first appears dramatically reduces survival rates and quality of life outcomes. Your heart is already struggling, and every day you wait allows the problem to compound. The fluid pressing on your heart makes it work even harder, which weakens it further, creating a dangerous downward spiral that becomes increasingly difficult to reverse. What starts as swollen ankles can quickly become a life-or-death situation if you don't recognize it and act immediately. The solution is simple, takes less than 10 seconds, and could genuinely save your life. Every evening before bed, press your finger firmly into the bone on the inside of your ankle for 5 full seconds. When you remove your finger, watch what happens. If the indentation from your finger remains visible for more than 3 seconds, that's a positive sign for edema, and you need to call your doctor the very next day. Don't wait to see if it goes away on its own. Also check whether your shoes feel tighter than usual by the end of the day, or whether your socks are leaving deep marks on your legs that stay visible for more than a few minutes after you remove them. Look at your ankles and the tops of your feet for visible swelling or puffiness. If you notice any of these signs, elevate your feet when resting to provide some temporary relief. But understand that elevation is not a solution. It's a comfort measure while you arrange immediate medical evaluation. Brenda, a 73-year-old retired teacher from Seattle, noticed that her sock marks were staying visible on her legs for hours after she got ready for bed. She called her doctor the next morning, and after examination and testing, she was diagnosed with early-stage heart failure that was immediately manageable with proper treatment. Check your ankles tonight. using the finger press test. This simple action could save your life. Don't dismiss swelling as normal or blame it on the heat or standing too long. Your feet are telling you something critical about your heart, and you need to listen right now. Sign 2. Shortness of breath. During routine activities, when did climbing one flight of stairs or walking to your mailbox start leaving you breathless and needing to stop to catch your breath? If activities that were easy for you just 2 or 3 months ago now cause noticeable breathlessness, your heart is sending you an urgent message that it can no longer pump blood efficiently enough to meet your body's oxygen demands. Research from the Cleveland Clinic identifies dyspnea, which is the medical term for shortness of breath, as one of the most reliable predictors of heart failure, and it typically appears months before people seek medical attention. Harvard Medical School has published extensive data showing that reduced exercise tolerance, meaning you can't do what you used to do without becoming winded, is a direct result of your heart's declining ability to pump adequate blood to your muscles and organs. This isn't about being out of shape or getting older. This is your cardiovascular system failing to keep up with even basic physical demands. When you dismiss this symptom as normal aging or just being out of shape, your heart's pumping efficiency continues declining week by week. Meanwhile, fluid starts accumulating in your lungs in a condition called pulmonary congestion because your heart can't move blood through your body fast enough. The National Heart, Lung and Blood Institute reports that this fluid buildup in the lungs is what makes breathing progressively more difficult and can advance to a critical stage requiring emergency intervention. Your risk of a sudden cardiac event increases significantly when breathlessness during normal activities goes unaddressed. Every week you ignore this symptom, your heart muscle weakens further from the constant strain of trying to meet your body's needs without adequate pumping capacity. What feels like mild inconvenience today can become a medical crisis within weeks if you don't get evaluated and treated promptly. Pay close attention to your body and notice specifically if activities that were effortless 2 months ago now cause you to stop and rest to catch your breath. Walking from your car to your front door, carrying a bag of groceries up a few steps, or doing light household chores shouldn't leave you breathless. If they do, that's a red flag. Also notice if you're feeling short of breath when you're lying flat in bed at night and you need to prop yourself up with extra pillows to breathe comfortably. This is called orthopnea, and it's a specific indicator that fluid is backing up into your lungs when you're horizontal. Seek immediate medical evaluation if you experience breathlessness that's worsening, or if you can't lie flat without difficulty breathing. Track your ability to perform daily tasks without breathing difficulty. And if you notice a clear decline over a few weeks, make an appointment with your doctor and describe exactly what's changed. Mitch, a 70-year-old former construction worker from Dallas, dismissed his breathlessness as just getting older until one afternoon he couldn't walk from his car to his front door without stopping 3 times to rest. His wife insisted he see a doctor immediately, and testing revealed significant heart failure requiring urgent treatment. Breathlessness isn't normal aging. It's your heart asking for help, and you need to respond today. Don't wait until you can barely make it across a room. Act now while the problem is still manageable. Sign 3. Persistent cough or wheezing. A cough that won't go away, especially one that gets worse at night when you're lying down, might have absolutely nothing to do with your lungs or allergies, and everything to do with your heart's declining function. The American Heart Association has extensively documented a condition called cardiac cough, which occurs when fluid backs up from a failing heart into the lungs, causing irritation and triggering a persistent cough that doesn't respond to typical cold remedies. Johns Hopkins research shows that approximately 60% of heart failure patients experience a chronic nighttime cough as one of their earliest symptoms, yet most people attribute it to seasonal allergies, a lingering cold, or environmental irritants and don't connect it to their cardiovascular system. The Mayo Clinic specifically identifies a cough that produces white or pink-tinged phlegm as a critical warning sign requiring immediate medical attention because it indicates fluid is leaking into your lung tissue. When you ignore a persistent cardiac cough and just assume it will eventually go away on its own, the fluid continues backing up into your lungs at an increasing rate. Your breathing becomes progressively more difficult as the fluid accumulation worsens, and you may start experiencing wheezing or a rattling sound when you breathe. This fluid buildup can lead to acute pulmonary edema, which is a medical emergency where your lungs fill with so much fluid that you can't get adequate oxygen, and it requires immediate emergency room treatment. The longer you wait to address a persistent cough that has cardiac origins, the more damage occurs to both your heart and your lungs. Your heart is already weak and struggling, and the added stress of fluid congestion makes everything worse. What starts as an annoying nighttime cough can rapidly progress to a life-threatening breathing crisis if the underlying heart problem isn't identified and treated. Track whether your cough worsens noticeably when you lie down at night compared to how you feel during the day when you're upright. Gravity affects where fluid settles in your body, and lying flat allows fluid to spread more easily into lung tissue, which triggers coughing. Notice if you need to sleep propped up on 2 or 3 pillows instead of lying flat, because lying flat makes you cough or feel like you can't breathe properly. Pay attention to what you're coughing up, if anything. If you see white mucus, or more concerning pink-tinged or blood-streaked phlegm that isn't related to a cold or respiratory infection, that's an emergency sign. See your doctor immediately if a cough persists for more than 2 weeks without any cold symptoms like fever, sore throat, or body aches. Explain specifically that the cough is worse at night and that you can't identify any illness causing it. Denise, a 66-year-old office manager from Phoenix, attributed her persistent nighttime cough to dust and allergies for almost 2 months. When her daughter finally convinced her to see a doctor, tests revealed fluid around her heart and early signs of heart failure. A cough that won't quit deserves cardiac evaluation, not just allergy medicine. Don't dismiss it or wait for it to resolve. Get it checked now while intervention can still make a real difference. Sign 4, rapid weight gain. What if gaining 3 pounds overnight isn't about what you ate yesterday, but about your heart's declining ability to pump blood and regulate fluid balance in your body? Sudden rapid weight gain is one of the most objective and measurable warning signs of heart failure, yet many people either don't weigh themselves regularly or dismiss weight fluctuations as normal. The Cleveland Clinic has established clear guidelines that gaining 2 to 3 pounds within a 24-hour period or 5 pounds within 1 week is a strong indicator of fluid retention caused by heart failure. This isn't fat gain from overeating. This is your body holding onto excess fluid because your heart can't pump efficiently enough to keep your kidneys functioning properly and eliminating fluid as they should. Research published by the National Heart, Lung and Blood Institute emphasizes daily weight monitoring as one of the most important self-assessment tools for anyone at risk for heart failure. And it's something you can do at home with an inexpensive scale. When you ignore sudden weight gain or don't track your weight at all, you miss a critical early warning that your heart is losing its ability to maintain proper fluid balance. Fluid overload puts tremendous additional stress on an already weakened heart, forcing it to work even harder to circulate an increased blood volume through your system. This can rapidly progress to a crisis requiring hospitalization and emergency intervention. Studies show that patients who monitor their weight daily and report sudden gains to their doctors have significantly better outcomes because treatment can begin before the situation becomes critical. Every pound of rapid weight gain represents approximately 1 pint of excess fluid your body is retaining. 3 pounds overnight means your system is holding about 3 pints of fluid it shouldn't have, and that fluid is putting pressure on your heart. your lungs, and your entire cardiovascular system. Buy an inexpensive digital scale today if you don't already have one, and starting tomorrow morning, weigh yourself at the same time every single day. The best time is first thing in the morning, right after you use the bathroom and before you eat or drink anything. Wear similar clothing each time, or weigh yourself without clothes for the most accurate tracking. Keep a written log in a notebook, or use your phone's notes app to record your weight each day. This creates a clear pattern that lets you see trends immediately. Call your doctor the same day if you gain 2 or more pounds in a single 24-hour period, or if you gain 5 or more pounds over the course of 1 week. Don't wait to see if the weight comes back off on its own. Use the same scale every time you weigh yourself, because different scales can vary by several pounds, which makes tracking unreliable. Lawrence, a 76-year-old retired accountant from Boston, noticed he had gained 4 pounds in just 3 days. He immediately called his cardiologist, who brought him in for evaluation, adjusted his treatment plan, and prevented what could have become a hospital emergency. Buy a scale today if you don't have one, and start weighing yourself tomorrow morning without fail. This simple daily habit takes 30 seconds and provides critical information that could save your life. Don't wait another day to start tracking this vital sign. Sign 5. Extreme and unusual fatigue. Exhaustion that makes simple daily tasks feel impossible isn't just normal tiredness from a busy day, and it's not something you should accept as inevitable aging. When your heart can't pump blood efficiently, every cell in your body receives less oxygen and fewer nutrients than it needs, which creates profound whole-body fatigue that rest doesn't relieve. Harvard Medical School research identifies unusual and extreme fatigue as often the very earliest symptom of heart failure, appearing even before swelling or breathlessness in many cases. The Mayo Clinic reports that 96% of heart failure patients describe experiencing unusual fatigue that's dramatically different from normal tiredness, yet many dismiss it for months before seeking medical attention. This fatigue happens because your heart's reduced output means your muscles, your brain and all your organs aren't getting adequate oxygen-rich blood, so even small amounts of activity deplete your energy completely. When you ignore profound fatigue and just push through it, or assume it's normal for your age, your heart continues weakening while working harder and harder to try to meet your body's basic metabolic needs. This creates a vicious cycle where the harder your weak heart works, the more it wears down, causing even more fatigue. Your quality of life deteriorates rapidly when you're too exhausted to do activities you enjoy or even basic self-care tasks. The American Heart Association notes that extreme fatigue also significantly increases your risk of falls and accidents because you're weak, unsteady, and your reaction time is impaired. Delaying evaluation when you're experiencing unusual exhaustion gives the underlying heart problem more time to progress to a stage that's harder to manage and treat effectively. Every week matters when it comes to preserving your heart function and your independence. Pay specific attention to whether you're suddenly too tired to do activities that you performed easily just a month or two ago. If making breakfast leaves you needing to sit down and rest, if taking a shower exhausts you for an hour afterward, or if you need to take naps during the day when you never needed them before, those are red flags. Notice whether your fatigue improves significantly with rest, or whether you feel profoundly tired, regardless of how much you sleep. Track if the exhaustion is proportionate to your activity level, or if you're experiencing extreme tiredness from minimal exertion. Seek medical evaluation if you notice a clear and dramatic change in your energy level over a few weeks, especially if the fatigue is accompanied by any other symptoms like swelling, breathlessness, or weight gain. Describe to your doctor exactly what's changed and how your current energy compares to how you felt 2 months ago. Nina, a 69-year-old retired nurse from Miami, found herself barely able to make breakfast without needing to sit down multiple times to rest. a dramatic change that her doctor immediately recognized as likely cardiac-related after ruling out other causes. Profound fatigue that doesn't match your activity level isn't something to push through or ignore. It's something that requires investigation now, before your heart weakens further. Don't accept exhaustion as inevitable. Get evaluated today. Sign 6. Rapid or irregular heartbeat. Have you noticed your heart racing, fluttering, skipping beats, or beating irregularly when you're just sitting quietly doing nothing strenuous? An irregular or abnormally fast heartbeat, called an arrhythmia, is both a warning sign and a direct contributor to heart failure because it reduces your heart's pumping efficiency. Johns Hopkins cardiology research shows that arrhythmias, particularly atrial fibrillation, are closely connected to heart failure in a dangerous two-way relationship where each condition makes the other worse. The American Heart Association reports that atrial fibrillation alone can reduce your heart's pumping efficiency by up to 30% because the upper chambers of your heart quiver uselessly instead of contracting effectively to push blood forward. When you already have a weakened heart, this additional loss of efficiency can push you into full heart failure. Cleveland Clinic documentation shows that palpitations and irregular rhythms often represent your heart's attempt to compensate for declining function, but this compensation actually accelerates the damage. Ignoring an irregular heartbeat or dismissing palpitations as just stress or too much caffeine allows the problem to progress unchecked. Irregular heart rhythms reduce the efficiency of every heartbeat, which means your body gets less oxygen and nutrients with each pump cycle. This creates additional strain on an already struggling heart. Beyond the immediate impact on pumping efficiency, irregular rhythms significantly increase your risk of blood clots forming in your heart chambers because blood pools and stagnates instead of flowing smoothly. These clots can travel to your brain and cause a stroke, or to your lungs and cause a pulmonary embolism. The National Heart, Lung and Blood Institute warns that certain arrhythmias can trigger sudden cardiac arrest if left untreated, especially in people with underlying heart disease. Every day you delay seeking treatment for an irregular heartbeat is a day your heart function declines further and your stroke risk increases. Check your pulse regularly by placing 2 fingers gently on the inside of your wrist, just below your thumb. Count the beats you feel for a full 60 seconds. A normal resting heart rate for adults is between 60 and 100 beats per minute, and the rhythm should be regular with even spacing between beats. If your pulse is significantly faster than 100 beats per minute while you're at rest, or if the rhythm feels irregular with skipped beats or uneven spacing, that requires medical evaluation. Notice if your heart feels like it's racing, pounding, or flipping around in your chest, especially when you're not doing anything physically demanding. Pay attention to whether these sensations happen occasionally or frequently. Seek immediate medical evaluation if you experience persistent irregular heartbeat, especially if it's accompanied by dizziness, chest discomfort, or shortness of breath. Oscar, a 72-year-old consultant from Austin, felt his heart flipping around in his chest intermittently for several weeks before he finally mentioned it to his doctor during a routine visit. Testing revealed atrial fibrillation that required immediate treatment to prevent stroke and further heart damage. Your heart rhythm tells a clear story about your cardiovascular health. Listen to what it's saying and act today. Don't dismiss palpitations as stress or anxiety. Get them evaluated now. Sign 7. Decreased appetite and nausea. When your heart struggles to pump blood effectively, your digestive system often sends the first distress signals in the form of decreased appetite, nausea, or feeling full after eating just a few bites. This happens because reduced cardiac output means less blood flow reaches your digestive organs, which impairs their function and creates uncomfortable symptoms that affect your desire to eat. The Mayo Clinic has published research documenting that gastrointestinal symptoms, including loss of appetite, nausea, and early satiety, appear in a significant percentage of heart failure patients. Yet these symptoms are rarely recognized as cardiac-related. Studies show that when your heart can't pump efficiently, your liver and digestive tract don't receive adequate blood supply, which causes congestion and swelling in these organs. This abdominal congestion creates sensations of fullness, bloating, and nausea that make eating unappealing or uncomfortable. The American Heart Association recognizes appetite loss and digestive symptoms as warning signs of heart failure, particularly when they appear alongside other symptoms. When you ignore changes in appetite or persistent nausea and just assume it's a stomach problem or food sensitivity, you miss a critical warning about your heart function. Malnutrition develops when you're not eating properly, and this weakens your entire body at exactly the time when you need strength and resources to support your struggling cardiovascular system. Weight loss from not eating can also mask dangerous fluid retention, making it harder to recognize the severity of your condition. Delaying diagnosis because symptoms seem unrelated to your heart gives the underlying heart failure more time to progress to advanced stages. Your body needs proper nutrition to maintain muscle mass, support immune function, and provide energy for healing. But you can't get that nutrition if heart failure is suppressing your appetite and you don't realize the connection. Addressing the heart problem often resolves the digestive symptoms, but you have to recognize the pattern first. Track whether food suddenly seems unappealing when you previously had a normal appetite, or whether you feel nauseous without any apparent reason, like a stomach virus. Notice if you feel uncomfortably full after eating just a small portion of a meal, much less than you'd normally eat. Pay attention to unexplained bloating or discomfort in your abdomen, particularly in your upper right side where your liver is located, because liver congestion from heart failure causes this specific symptom. Watch for any combination of digestive changes that persist for more than a week without an obvious cause. See your doctor if appetite changes are accompanied by any other potential heart failure symptoms like swelling, fatigue, or breathlessness. Describe all your symptoms together so your doctor can see the complete picture and evaluate your heart function appropriately. Rita, a 67-year-old bookkeeper from Pittsburgh, gradually lost interest in eating and felt constantly bloated. Symptoms her doctor eventually recognized as her heart's inability to maintain proper circulation to her digestive organs. Digestive changes that seem unrelated might actually be your heart crying for help through your stomach. Don't dismiss appetite loss or nausea as just getting older or having a sensitive stomach. Mention these symptoms to your doctor and get evaluated now. Here's what you need to understand. These 7 warning signs give you time to act before heart failure becomes a crisis, and catching any of them early dramatically improves your chances of successful management and maintaining your quality of life. Swollen feet and ankles, breathlessness during normal activities, persistent cough, rapid weight gain, extreme fatigue, irregular heartbeat, and decreased appetite aren't just inconveniences to live with. They're your body's way of telling you that your heart needs help right now. Early detection and treatment can add years to your life and preserve your independence and vitality. Thousands of seniors are living full, active lives because they recognized these signs early and took immediate action. The power to protect your heart is completely in your hands. Which of these warning signs have you experienced or noticed in someone you care about? Comment below and share your experience, because your story might help someone else recognize these critical symptoms. If this information could save a life, and it absolutely could, share this video right now with anyone over 60 who needs to see it, whether it's your spouse, a parent, a friend, or a neighbor. Hit that like button if you're committed to checking yourself for these signs starting tonight, and subscribe so you don't miss our next video about the 5 foods that strengthen heart function after 60. Your awareness and quick action could literally save your life or the life of someone you love. Don't wait. Start checking for these signs tonight.